Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are watching us from. I'm Comfort Eyitayo, your regular host on Connect with Comfort Show. On this program, we aim to add value to people on business, enterprise, and personal growth. Each show is organized to feature special guests who are subject matter experts that would help us to throw more insights on the topic of the day. I'm glad you are able to join us today. You are most welcome. The topic for the day is not only relevant, but increasingly vital in our fast paced world, and that is resilience and mental well being. In a time where uncertainties seem to be the norm and challenges abound, understanding how to cultivate resilience and nurture our mental health has become more crucial than ever. Resilience often defined as the ability to bounce back from adversity. It's not just about enduring hardships, but thriving despite hardships. It's about harnessing our inner strength, adapting to change, and finding meaning of and purpose in the face of adversity. Also intertwined with resilience is the concept of mental well-being, because it encompasses not just the absence of mental illness, but a state of flourishing where we can cope with stress, build strong relationships, and realize our full potential. So, let us learn, engage, and inspire one another as we have this discussion that will throw more insight into how we can become more resilient and mentally healthy. Once again, I welcome you to Connect with Comfort Show. We'll go on a short break right now. Please remain connected. We'll be right back. Thank you. You're welcome back. Our guest is already in the house and is no other than Uthman Abdulrasheed. Abdulrasheed is a business leadership coach and an entrepreneur. So we have the expert that will do justice to the topic at hand. It is a privilege to hear from our esteemed expert in the field who will share his wisdom, experiences, and invaluable insights into the intertwined world of resilience and mental well being. His perspective will enrich our understanding as well as guide us on this crucial but very useful topic. Please join me in making welcome our special guest for today's show, Uthman Abdulrasheed. You are welcome, Uthman. Thank you very much for being willing to share your experience with us and sparing time out of your busy schedule. We appreciate you a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm deeply honored to be here and I look forward to an interesting conversation.
Thank you. So, without much ado, we'll go straight to the first segment of our interview by asking you to help us to define resilience for the purpose of a better understanding what is resilient and what does it mean to you in the context of mental well-being.
Okay, so for me, I think resilience is simply the ability to move from disappointment to disappointment without loss of enthusiasm, without giving up. So, like the saying that says, if you are hit 8 times, get up 9 times. So, resilience is just that ability to keep coming back despite whatever life challenges throw at you. I think one of the biggest issues that we have is we think that life is meant to be easy, but nobody promised you an easy life. But understanding that, look, when challenges come, you will have the capacity to keep pushing through. And I think in terms of in checking resilience and mental well-being, it's just being able to, when you know yourself, then you know what are the things that will trigger you. One, you know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. So that way, if you're able to understand yourself, then it can help you to become more resilient. So you know that, look, if you wake up and you don't have breakfast, you're going to have a moody day. So if you know yourself and you want to be resilient, then you make sure you have breakfast in the morning before you step out of the day. So I think that That's basically what resilience and mental well-being, from my own perspective, is. And I think that is a crucial skill that everybody should have, regardless of what you do.
Fantastic. In a nutshell, the spirit of not giving up, of pushing
Yes.
through, and that desire to win at all costs. Thank you very much for that definition and the good example you have given about breakfast. Can you share a bit about your own journey and how you became interested in the topic of resilience and mental well-being?
So for me, my own journey, I would say I've had a lot of experience, but I'll share one particular experience that has shaped me in terms of resilience. So I worked a 9 to 5. I was working in oil and gas for about 12 years when I decided to go into consulting in 2020. Now, an interesting thing happened my final day of resignation, where I decided, okay, this was it. I was going to start up my consulting business. Armed robbers came into my house, took everything. They took my laptop, my phone, everything, my iPad, everything. They threatened my children, everything. And at that point in time, when it was happening, yes, it was a sad moment. But one interesting thing that happened was the mindset that I had was, yes, nobody promised you an easy life. So this is just because you say you want to start up doesn't mean it's going to be easy. So this I had to make sure that I was resilient, and without you know looking for a safety net or anything, I just continued on my journey. And this is about 4 years now, and I've been able to grow in my consultancy career. I've facilitated trainings out of the country. I've facilitated trainings for big organizations. And I know that if not that I had that resilient mindset, I probably would have run back to my former employers and say, "Oh, please, this thing happened, and I think that this is a sign for me not to continue." And I wouldn't have been where I am today. So I think that resilience has really helped me to be able to be where I am today.
Thank you for that brilliant example. I'm sure many people can identify with that. And just on behalf of our listeners, we empathize with you. But we thank God that you are the one telling the story, even with all the cheerfulness. So, which means you
Yes.
put it behind you and you've gone past it. And that is telling us that we have to have that shared determination to make success of whatever it is that we have put our hands upon, regardless of what comes our way. Thank you very much. Now, with that, we can see, like I said, many people can identify with your story. What would you consider to be some of the common misconceptions about resilience, and how can understanding these misconceptions help individuals build greater resilience?
So I think the major misconception people have about resilience is that once something negative happens, it means that is a sign for you to not continue on that path. If that was the case, then we don't need to be resilient. So people need to understand that troubles will happen, but you have to cultivate the correct mind and the correct belief system so that when those things happen, you have the capacity to be able to push through. I think that another misconception people have is that they think that for them to be resilient is just a case of I can do things all by myself. I feel like surrounding yourself with family members and people that are close to you is one of the key things that can actually help you to be resilient so that whenever the life challenges come upon you and it seems too hard for you to go through, if you have people by your side, they'll be able to support you and carry you along as you keep going. So I feel like for people to be able to grow in terms of to become more resilient, they have to get to the point where one, create that belief system that you know that things are going to be difficult. And if anything difficult happens, you have the capacity to push through. Two, surround yourself with close friends and family that will support you and give you the necessary things that you need to keep being resilient.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So, what would you consider to be some of the practical strategies of exercise that people can use to strengthen their mental resilience? And how do self awareness contribute to building mental strength and resilience?
So I think that some of the things that people can do to improve their resilience and self awareness is to actually be so it's to connect with themselves, right? So know yourself, and like one thing says that know thyself and to thyself be true. So always know yourself and know what are the things that what are your triggers, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. And I feel like one thing that a lot of people don't really do a lot of, which can actually help them in terms of self-awareness, is actually going for classes, attending events that can help you improve your capacity and know yourself. Something as simple as a personality assessment, for example. If you do a personality assessment, then you know your tendencies, you know your weaknesses and all that. And once you do that, you become more self-aware. And the more self-aware you are, the more you can be resilient and you can keep pushing through because you know what are your triggers, you know what are the things that will tend to make you go off track, and you can mitigate those things even before they happen. So I think that those investing in yourself is one thing that can raise your self-awareness and then help you to become more resilient.
Okay, okay, that's very important. We should invest in ourselves to create that self awareness, to know more about ourselves so that we know what keeps us going and we know what can easily put us down. That is very important. And even people that we surround ourselves with, there are people that are the type that will cheer you on,
Share
and there are
you.
people that that will put you down. So you have to be able to analyze this and know the groups to move with. Very important. Thank you very much. How does practicing mindfulness contribute to mental well-being and resilience?
I think this is a very key thing because one of the major things that happens that stops people from actually being resilient and being practicing proper mental health is their ability, not their ability to connect, their inability to connect with themselves. And what mindfulness helps you to do is that it helps you to. So one of the things, there's a saying that says that the distance or the space between stimulus and action is where your power lies. And mindfulness is that one activity or one practice that can help you to increase that space. So if you practice mindfulness, practice like things like meditation, self-awareness, calming yourself down, emotional regulation, then anytime that there's an external trigger, you because of the mindfulness practice that you have done, you can actually calm yourself down before reacting. Most times when people have things like road rage, something happens, what triggers people is because they are not able to create that space. So once somebody annoys you, you react, and that stops you from being resilient. Or if something bad happens to you, you automatically just give up. But if you practice that mindfulness, you'll be able to elongate the space between stimulus and reaction. And I think that will help you to become more resilient as you go along.
Thank you for that useful tip. What are some effective ways to manage stress and anxiety in today's fast-paced world? And how can individuals differentiate between healthy stress that fosters growth and harmful stress that can lead to uh, burning out? So the key word is
Good,
the stress,
good
good
and bad
stress
stress.
and bad stress.
So I really like the fact that you differentiated this because one thing I've learned and I've seen with a lot of people is people avoid stress. So people say, no, I don't want stress. But for us to grow, we need a certain level of stress. Now, when stress becomes, how do you differentiate good stress from bad stress? The way that you can differentiate it is that if any stress that is introduced into your system that is there for a prolonged time, that causes some form of dysfunction, that is negative stress. But any stress that comes into your life that is for growth, you'll see that it's not a prolonged period, it's just for a short period. And then once you adapt and you grow, you start to see benefits. So, how can people now overcome that? What are the things that they need to do for them to be able to overcome that stress? You know, I think that one of the things that they can do is to understand that growth happens outside your comfort zone. So we must learn to seek out things and experiences that are outside our comfort zone. Like there's something that I always say that confidence, right, is built by consistent acts of courage done consistently over time. So what tends to happen is if you don't take acts of courage over time and you build it, you will not be able to be confident. And if you're not confident, then you will not be able to withstand the good stress that is needed for your growth. And then anytime that something happens that is a negative stress, we must learn one, mindfulness, to be able to step back and recalibrate, but also to do things that fill our cup because you cannot pour from an empty cup. What causes that sustained negative stress to have a negative effect is when we're just always pouring and we're not filling up. Sometimes all you have to do is to disconnect, take an hour off, connect with nature, take a walk, exercise, diet. All those things are things that can fill your cup so that I can pour into others better.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We should learn when to fill our cup. That's we say that pouring from an empty cup. You'll be pouring emptiness. Thank you
Emptiness,
very much.
yes.
So we should not just see stress as being bad all through and through. So there are some good stress, like you said, if you want to grow, because you cannot just sleep all day and expect good things to happen. You
Good
still have
things
to
to
make
happen,
some.
yes.
You still have to make some efforts. Okay. So how important, bearing all that we have said in mind, how important is social support in maintaining mental well-being and resilience? And what advice
I
can you
think
give the
social
individual?
Yeah, I think social support is the most important thing. I feel like one of the things that causes a lot of stress in people's lives is not having the correct social circle. Because the truth is that we must learn to cope. Everybody has a coping mechanism. Now, what makes your coping mechanism cause bad mental health is if the coping mechanism is a dysfunction. So that's why some people go into gambling, some people go into drinking, some people go into certain vices. But one of the ways that we can cope is surrounding ourselves with people that have the same value systems that we have and can fill
Positive
our cup. So
mindset.
there are days when, yeah, positive mindset. There are days when you're just tired, yeah, as a man, family, bills, children, this thing. But you just meet a fellow man like you that is going through the same thing and tells you, look, bro, don't worry, things will get better. We can keep going. You just feel like you have bounced back. So I feel like surrounding ourselves with people that have the value system is one way. And then also making sure that we don't keep quiet. A problem shared is half solved. So when somebody's going through stress or going through problem, share it with people, right? Share it with people that have the same positive mindset as you, not someone that will make you feel bad or talk you down or discourage you. So I think that having a social circle is very, very important.
That's good. So, what are some signs that someone may need professional support for their mental well-being? Because some people, you just see them, you ask them, "How are you?" "I'm fine," but you know that even "I'm fine" is not fine, because you get to know them over time, and you know when they are truly fine. So, what signs can we see to help them with professional support, and how can individual overcome stigma and barriers to seeking help? for mental health challenges?
So I think the first thing let me cover the barriers and what are the things and how to overcome stigma. I feel like having more conversations like this will definitely help to reduce that stigma, where people understand that look, mental health challenges are not is not bad. Seeking help is not bad. Seeing a therapist or and all that is not bad. It's something that every functional human being at one point in time should go through because we have a lot of trauma that we're living with, right? You've been through a traumatic situation, you must be able to seek help. So I think that more people coming out to share their trauma stories and how counseling and therapy has helped them would help to reduce it would help to reduce the stigma. And I feel like one of the ways that we can identify people that are going through some form of challenge is when you see, and I think one of the difficult challenges to identify is those that have high functional depression, for example. So the person is depressed, but they're high functional, meaning that they're doing everything that they need to do. There's no change in what they're doing. But one of the ways that you can identify that is that when there's no joy in the simple things. So you see a child laughing and yeah, there's no joy. Rain is falling, there's no joy. Wind is blowing, there's no joy. When you see that consistently you're doing things and that joy is not there, then it's time for you to take a step back and ask yourself a question and say, come, what's happening? If you see that people start to avoid people. So these are people that normally go out, normally meet people, but all of a sudden they start to avoid social interaction, then there's something wrong. And then also, if you see people start to behave out of character, so some people that talk a lot, they start to become quiet. Some people that are quiet start to talk a lot. Any out of character behavior can also stem to show that there's an underlying condition that needs to be explored more.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there are some contributions from our audience online. Maybe the technical crew will help us to see them, but I appreciate it. Keep it coming. So we've been told some of the signals that we can see. Even some people they just get excessively angry than they
Angry,
used to.
yes.
Yeah, that they used to think little things that will not get them high before they just lash out. So you need to understand that there could be other problems underlining that behavior. So we need to look out for signs from those that are close to us so that we can actually help them. Then in all this, how does vulnerability contribute to resilience and mental well-being? And what role does self-compassion play in building resilience and navigating difficult emotions?
So I think that vulnerability is actually the most amazing character trait that someone can have if they are trying to be resilient and build a more robust mental health. I read a book by Benny Brown, and basically what he's talking about is that book is I can't remember the name now, but the book is talking about how to be vulnerable. And what she says is that vulnerability does not necessarily mean crying and showing weakness. Vulnerability is not weakness. It just means that you are able to connect and share a part of you regardless of whether you want and I think that it's especially in the African context where we always tell people, oh, you have to be strong, no, don't show weakness, don't do this, don't do this. Vulnerability is the ability to actually share and connect with people, and if we embrace that vulnerable side of us, we will tend to connect with people better. So I think that vulnerability is like one skill that all of us should have. At least there should be one or two people that we're comfortable enough with, that we can be vulnerable with, and we can share our deepest challenges with them.
Thank you very much. That is very important. In our society, when it's actually difficult to know who to trust, and people shy away from exposing their inner
Being
thoughts
vulnerable,
so that
yes.
yeah, so that they don't get ridiculed or people gossiping about them. But like you said, we need to identify those close people, those that are close enough with us that we can share, because like they said, a problem half shared, I mean solved,
It's
shared is
half
half solved.
it's, it's half
So
solved.
it's, yeah, it lifts the weight off our mind. And then this posture that I do not want to be seen to be weak and things like that is given to human being to be weak. There's nothing wrong in that.
Yes.
There are
Yes.
situations that makes us weak sometimes, and we should be ready to accept that and then find a way of getting over it. Thank you very much for that insight. How can individual cultivate a positive mindset even in the face of adversity or setbacks? What are common negative thinking patterns that can hinder resilience, and how can they be addressed?
So I think that how we can develop positive thinking is, first of all, is to change your belief system, because everything, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're wrong. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. So one of the things that can help us to have positive thinking is for us to change our belief system, is for us to now know that, look, I believe that I can overcome any challenges that come across my way. I believe that, life is not, yes, life is hard, right? And anytime I face challenges, I can overcome them. One of the things that also helps to develop that positive mental attitude is affirmations, daily affirmations, where you tell yourself, I am amazing, I am beautiful, I am loved, and then also, lastly, showing gratitude, because a heart that is devoid of gratitude can never see the good things around them. But if we're always grateful for even the littlest of things, then we'll start to see even bigger things more importantly. So I feel like those are the things that we can do to be able to cultivate a positive mindset. And then the negative things that we must learn to overcome are those negative belief systems that tell us that we're not good enough, we're not, we're not worthy, we
You
can't
cannot do
achieve the things that
this.
we want to, we can't do this. And sometimes it comes from a place of care. It's mostly the people that are closest to us that will tell us, oh, you can't do this, no, don't do this, stay safe, don't, but we must learn that, look, growth happens outside your comfort zone. And for you to be able to move outside your comfort zone, you must understand that you must change your belief system and create a belief system that tells you that, look, you can achieve all the things you want to achieve, you have what it takes, and you keep pushing forward. So I think that those are the things that can help.
Thank you very much for that useful insight. We'll go on a short break right now. Please remain connected. We'll be right back. Thank you.
I wanted to give up. I'm done with all the things I'm going through. I'm trying to keep my head up. I try to win, but every time I lose. Should be getting better. I try, but I don't know what to do. Hope this ain't forever. I just wanna make a breakthrough, but something inside said never give up. All of these setbacks are major setups. If I keep on fighting, if I keep on trying, if I aim for the sky, one day things will go my way. One day things will go my way. One day things will go my way. I've gotta hang.
You are welcome back. Uh, we are still on the topic of resilience and mental well-being. In our last segment, we had some people joining us online, and I noticed Dr. Hassan was making some contribution. Apologies, I was not able to see it to relay it. Okay, you need come up again. You need to deepen your absor- absorptive capacity for excuse me, for challenges or threats to stay strong and focused. That is very, very apt. That's from Dr. Aseyin from Abuja. It's one of our regular follower. We had Taiwo Ojo from Abuja as well. Wendy Garba Ayeni from Lagos. Femi Jayesimi from Lagos. Rotimi from Lagos. Akala Akitude from Ogun State. Thank you all for joining and staying tuned. I hope this is being useful to the points we are sharing is useful to all of you. We have Adetunji Aderinto too joining us from Lagos. So we'll continue with the interview of our special guest, and that is to look at how individuals can reframe setbacks or failures as opportunities for growth and learning. How can individual reframe setbacks or failures as opportunities for growth and learning?
So I think that for us to be able to reframe it's a skill whereby first of all we have to like I said earlier in the previous segment, change our belief systems. Because if you have a belief system that says, look, I have what it takes, whatever happens, whatever challenges come my way, I will surmount it. It's easier for you to now reframe it. And one of the things, especially I use this a lot, is to understand that life happens for you and not to you. So anything that happens, just understand that there's a higher power and understand that in that infinite wisdom, at the end of the day, it might not make sense to you now, but with time it will make sense. So it's just for you to give into that and to understand that, look, I understand these things are happening right now. I'm uncomfortable, but you should be able to reframe yourself and say, look, with time, this too will pass and we'll be able to, come out stronger. I think that that's like one of the most important things that we can do to just step away, right? Like I said, having from stimulus to action, that space is the best thing that we can do. So if you can elongate the space, something bad happens, don't react immediately. Pause, think about it, have the mindset that, look, this thing is happening for my good. Even if it's bad, even if it's like a flat tire, you're rushing to work and you have a flat tire. What if maybe there's an accident in front and
On
that
the
flat tire
way,
has stopped you from hitting it?
that's
So
true.
yeah, that's the mindset that
That
one should have.
positive angle of looking at
Yes.
what comes our way. Let's
Yes.
look at the positive side of challenges that comes our way. Just like they say, even challenges are laden with hidden opportunities. So we should
Yes.
always have that positive mindset. So how do we maintain a healthy work-life balance? Or in maintaining a healthy work-life balance, how does that contribute to mental well-being and resilience? And what are
So
strategies for setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care in today's busy world?
so I think that this is one of the most important things because there are two types of people. There are people that if you leave them, they walk themselves to the ground. On the other side of the spectrum is people that if you leave them, they will play themselves to the ground. That balance is
Sleep all
important to
day.
understand that. Yeah. So to understand that you you need to work. Working is a sense of purpose. The more you work, the more purposeful you feel. But the essence of working is not the working itself, it's for it to afford us certain privileges, to spend time with family, to make money, to spend time with family. Because you see people that, oh, they are spending all their days at work and working, and then they make the money, but they are not healthy. By the time they reach old age, all sorts of things start to happen, and then you can't even enjoy the money. So it's to understand that, you know, there has to be that balance. And also, don't wait for, because there's a mindset that a lot of us have. We wait for a certain time for, oh, I can't wait till I become a director, then I'll start to enjoy my life. When I retire, then I start to enjoy my life. No, don't wait for that time. Put in certain things now so that you say that, okay, look, yes, I'm working now, but once in a while, once a week, at least I'll prioritize going out, connecting with people and all that. Then those of us that are on the spectrum of wanting to play, it can also cause you to have some sort of depression because then now you don't feel fulfilled. Because doing work is fulfilling, closing out tasks is fulfilling. So I think that those that are the things that we should do. And then the strategies that we can use to put those boundaries in place is to understand that give the time that is needed for that thing. There's a bad habit that people have. They are at work and all they're thinking of is home. When they come home, all they're thinking of is work. Each time should be given its due time. When you're at work, give 100% for work. When you're at home, close your laptop, spend time with those people that that are at home with you. And so if we have those strategies, and then another thing is to also schedule our time. Because if you don't block your calendar, somebody else will block it for you. And they will put things that are priority to them. So, for example, like one of the things that I do is that I plan my week. When I plan my week, I fit in all the activities that I need to happen. And so the only time that there's space for somebody else to put anything on my calendar, I've already satisfied what I want.
Yes.
So there are days when I can block my calendar and I say, look, today I'm taking my children to the park. And then there are days when I'll block my calendar and say, look, I'm going to play golf. You can't put an activity on that calendar because once you schedule your time, you will know that this is the time that I'm going to do this. And so you now know when you have that activity, you can also schedule your time accordingly. So I think that those are some of the things that we can do
I think he's having a network glitch. Well, I believe we heard what it was leading to. We have to really compartmentalize our, our schedule, so to say, to make sure that we prioritize things that matters to us and not do it the other way around, that other things that are less important get to fill our calendar, and then we now struggle for time for ourselves. So it was letting us know that when you're at work, which is very important, I'm sure many of us can fall into that slot. Make sure that you concentrate on the work at hand. And when you finish at work and you go back home, give time to the family. Okay, you are back.
Yes.
Man, I know it's network. So you
Yeah.
just round up on that. I was just wrapping up on your
Yes.
thought
So
that we must learn to compartmentalize our
yeah,
program and our
compartmentalize.
schedule.
Yes. So schedule your time and you have to be proactive because if you're not proactive in scheduling your time, then you're always reactive. You're always quenching fires. So learn to be proactive. Schedule your time. I suggest usually take like on a Sunday, schedule your week. Put everything in your calendar so that you now know where. So if anybody wants to now take time from you, they will just have to take what is available. So I think that those
Yes,
are the things that are important. Yes.
that is very true. So how can leaders foster a culture of resilience and support within their team or organizations? You know, some of our leaders, what we're saying applies also to them. They
Yes.
probably do not give room to think that there could be need for support, and they just look at, have you been able to deliver, you have not been able to deliver, not the why you are not able to deliver. So how can they foster culture of resilience and support within the organization? And what role does empathy and emotional intelligence play in effective leadership and building resilience?
So I feel like empathy is one of the most important things that every leader should have. Because you see, for you to be able to grow an organization, for you to be able to foster a good culture, it means that first and foremost, you must display the culture that you want. So you as the leader must be the torch bearer for any trait or character that you want your team to have. And so if you
Lead
don't
by
have
example.
empathy, then you can't put your lead by example. That means you can't put yourself in the shoes of your employees. But another thing, so that's one end of the spectrum. But the other end of the spectrum also is those laissez-faire leaders where they feel like, okay, I want to show empathy, so anything goes. Understand that good stress is important. So we must have empathy, but we must hold our people to high standards so that they can display high levels of resilience and get work that needs to be done. And before one of the easiest ways to do that is to sow into people, invest in them. I always say, think about it like an emotional bank account. If you do something good for somebody, you're depositing into that bank account. If you do consequence management, give the person query, you're withdrawing. So make sure that before you any withdrawal, you have sufficient deposit.
Deposit
Once you do that, is one of the easiest ways that you can do to
or
build a
reserve.
culture of resilience. Yes, I have some reserve. Yes.
Like Naira was struggling for the dollar. Without reserve. Okay, that's good. So, how can individuals sustain resilience over the long term, especially during periods of prolonged stress or uncertainty, like the time we are in now? And what
Yes.
habits or practices can help individuals stay resilient during times of transition or change?
So one of the things that I think is very important is looking at from the book of Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, is understanding what is within your locus of control. If you focus on only the things that are within your locus of control, you tend to have resilience for a longer time. So, for example, you can't change the price of fuel. So, let me even use a practical example. I'm not the one that decides whether there's light or not. So, for example, as you can see, I'm having this call, but there's no light where I am. I can't change that. But what can I change? What is within my locus of control? I have my phone. I can put on my touchlight from phone, and I can have the call. When I had the network glitch, what was within my locus of control? I could have said, "Oh, why is the network doing this?" No, I quickly switched to another network. So concentrating and focusing on what is in your locus of control can help you to be resilient for the long time. That way, you're not dwelling on the past and you're not fretting about the future. You're living in the present and saying anything that comes my way, whatever is within my soul control, I will do it. So, what are the habits that are important? One, nutrition. Nutrition is very key. Scientists have found, there's several articles that have found that there's a direct correlation between the health of our gut, which is our stomach, and our mental well-being. That's why sometimes you see that there's certain types of food that you eat and you're just lethargic and you're not happy, right? So nutrition is key. Two, exercise. We must learn to move consistently. And it doesn't mean we have to anything too crazy. A walk, in the evening, doing a few things that will just make your blood move, can help as well. Three, socializing. As human beings, we are social animals. So socializing is something that is very important. Having a few friends, taking out time to visit your friends, family, and all that is very important. So those three things: nutrition, exercise, social. I think those are the habits that can help us to stay resilient for the long term.
That's very good. And it helps us in terms of changes too. Those three,
Yes.
those three key points. So, what would you have for us as final word of wisdom or advice for our viewers who are looking to strengthening their resilience and prioritize their mental well-being?
So I think to close this, I would say that one of the key things that we need to do is one, seek out things that can help us become more self-aware to improve your self-awareness. And then two, understand that growth in any aspect of life has to be intentional. You can't just sit down and expect to grow. You must be intentional about the things that you're doing that can help you grow. And then lastly, you must value yourself for you to be able to add value to yourself. So we must understand that um, the more we add value to ourselves, the more we value ourselves. Signing for this kind of amazing shows that happen every Sunday, watch it, take notes, invite other people, and then even when you watch with other people, share notes. Oh, this was my takeaway. This was my takeaway, so that you gain more insights. I think that if we do that, we should be able to, stay resilient and have a better mental health in the future.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. You've done wonderfully well for this
Thank
topic.
you.
Great insights you have shared with us, and I'm sure our audience are better for it. We understand it better, and then we'll be able to apply it in our lives, because this is very important. Regardless of the desire we have in life, we have to be mentally healthy. That is very, very important. Mentally healthy. Thank you very much. I hope next time
Okay.
when we call on you, you will oblige us and not consider us as Oliver Twist. It's been a
Definitely.
very
Definitely,
great
man.
pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
So we'll
Thank you.
move
Thank you very
quickly
much.
because of time to our wrap up session, because I guess I've actually covered to a large extent all that we need to be aware of. And like some of the keywords he has used, we must learn to take care of ourselves, because when we are talking of resilience, we also must be okay before we push on the frontier of making good business or growth. And like we're talking about mental health, it does not mean absence of mental illness, and we should not equate it to something very negative. There are many things that we go through in life, even in our daily living, especially those living in Lagos. Some people wonder how we cope, but these are things we have gotten used to over time. We must not take it for granted that yes, it's part of normal daily routine, and therefore lose sight of taking care of ourselves, giving time to the family, and then compartmentalizing our various activities. That's very important. We must learn to compartmentalize, otherwise we will get all mixed up. Like he said, you can be at home while you are thinking seriously about work, and you are at work, you are also worried about home. You must be able to get those mix right. And then we for leaders, we must also be empathic, to show understanding to our workforce, our team, in case things are not going right, and somebody, an employee that has been doing well, if suddenly something happens, let's not just throw the works in and try to find out what could be the reason for a behavior that you could call out of the ordinary. Please let us take care of ourselves. This is very, very important. That's what keeps coming out from all that we have discussed today. We must take care of ourselves, to give enough time for rest. And yes, there are good stress. We need good stress for growth, but the bad stress we must try as much as possible to avoid, so that we can stay resilient for a long time. Then the social circle, we keep the right people around us, people with positive mind that can encourage us, not people that will put us down or tell us why we cannot achieve this, why we cannot achieve that, but people that are going to be cheerleaders for us. In all this, we should also be mindful of our nutrition. We have been told, and that is understandable. It's when we are healthy from what we even eat that we can achieve all those goals. So, in closing, let us remember that resilience is not merely about bouncing back from adversity, it's about thriving in the face of challenges and emerging stronger. Our mental well being is a precious asset that requires nurturing and care. As we navigate life's ups and downs, may we cultivate resilience by fostering supportive relationships, practicing self care, and seeking help when needed. Let us not shy away from seeking help. It is not wrong to seek help, but we seek help in the right quarters, not people that would add to our problem. With the show, we've had some contribution also from some of our online audience. I want to especially appreciate those that have been able to join us today. Dr. Asain from Abuja, Taiwo Ojo from Abuja, Wendy Garuba Ayeni from Lagos, Akitunde Akala from Olushola from Ogun State, Femi Daisimi from Lagos, and Rotimi from Lagos, Adetunji Aderinto from Lagos as well, and many others, Taiwo Ojo from Abuja, many others that have not been able to mention their name. We thank you for joining us and supporting this brand. I hope you have all enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Comfort Eyitayo. Once you have subscribed, please turn on the notification button, like and share our videos. Stay updated with information about upcoming events, solutions, and offers on my Instagram account at Comfort Eyitayo, as well as my Facebook account at Comfort Eyitayo. Till I come your way again, let's embrace the practice of resilience and prioritize our mental health, knowing that through resilience we can overcome obstacles and flourish. Once again, I want to thank all of you for joining. I wish you good week, resilience, and mental health, good mental health beyond the week. God bless you.